Welcome to a clean Glean video. 2.2 in OpenStax, Calculus Volume 3, talks about vectors in 3 dimensions. We want to get to the point of the right-hand rule. We're looking at 3 dimensions. We have R3 denoting 3 space. Let's first go back and get comfortable with R. R would represent the number line. We typically use X to denote a real number. We can then write out that this set R is the set of X's where X is a real number. Pretty easy. Let's bring in the y-axis. Doing so, each axis is a copy of the number line. So we have one copy and another copy. You'd read this as R cross R. It's like multiplication. And then we get something like R squared, however you read that as R2. Writing out R2 as a set, R2 would be the set of ordered pairs. And each ordered pair will have 2 coordinates, an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate, where the condition on R2, the set of ordered pairs, is that each coordinate is a real number. Well, that makes it pretty easy to come up with a definition for R3, R cross R cross R, that R3 is going to be the set of all ordered triples, where each coordinate x, y, and z is a real number. Okay, so now we're set up to understand R3, and again we want to tackle this idea of the right-hand rule. So, again, going back to the real number line, notice that there is something happening on the real number line, that we pick a point and we let that point separate out the number line, that it's separating out the positive x values and the negative x values. Well, it seems so natural to have values to the right be positive, values to the left be negative. However, that's actually arbitrary. You're looking at this screen. If you were to look at this screen from behind, then the positives would be on the left and the negatives would be on the right. All right, so let's try and get into the right-hand rule. Let's first start by keeping the origin, and then from the origin, considering the upward motion. Now, that's going to represent a positive direction upwards. Let's also bring in a left and right motion, where off to the right, that's going to be positive. And again, we're letting the black dot be the origin. Now, these 2 directions provide a copy of the xy plane. So we're looking at the xy plane. Well, we can imagine moving off of the xy plane. And if we go from looking at this screen and coming closer in towards you, then that would be elongating closer in towards you. So this is then a 3rd direction, and then this direction also represents a positive direction. Okay, so now we're going to put down the right-hand rule. And you can imagine that your finger pointing from the screen at you, that will be termed the x direction. So if this finger extends out, it's going to be pointing into the x direction. You have a hand. This is the right hand. You have a left hand. Using your right hand pointing forward is going to give the x direction. Your fingers curled in are going to give the y direction, and then your thumb pointing up will give the z direction. This is the right-hand rule. So there's a left-hand rule, there's a right-hand rule. By default, you will always assume the right-hand rule. All right, so looking at the three axes, the x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis, we're only focused on the positive portions, that they all come together at a point, and then that point is the origin of 3 space, the origin of R3. R3 is a set of all ordered triples, so that means that the x-coordinate is 0, y-coordinate is 0, and z-coordinate is 0. That is the origin, this point here. Let's look at the z-axis and extend the z-axis. 0, 0 is the black dot. And then let's bring that black dot down along the extension of the z-axis. Well, everything above the origin on the z-axis is positive, therefore below is going to be negative. Let's repeat that on the y-axis. Extend the y-axis to the left of the origin. Then you would have y-coordinates, which are negative. Again, go from the origin and only move on the y-axis. Then the x and the z are remaining fixed, but you're changing y, and y will be a negative quantity. And then once more in the x direction. That's x negative. Pick a point on that axis. The y and the z will be 0, but the x will have a negative value. All right, very nice. Now, let's again come back and look at the y and the z. Remember that that is representing the screen that you're looking at, that flat surface. Let's think of that as a wall. Here, this entire wall. And then let's use this shaded portion to represent that entire wall. We're going to build a room. So now we have the back wall that we're looking at. We can bring in the floor to the room. And we can bring in the wall on the left. And now we're sitting comfortably and peering inside of a room. Well, that room, we can extend out the floor. That back wall, we can extend it further. And the wall on the left, we can likewise extend. And let's take another view of this. Here's a view from the OpenStax book. That what you're getting are 8 octants. If you look above the floor, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms at the given level. And then down below in the basement, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms. Instead of rooms, the nice word is octants. Then where we have x positive, y positive, z positive, that is called the first octant. Very good. So here we are back again. Generic 3 space. Focus in on the origin. And then considering moving x away from the origin, moving an amount a. Let's animate that. Move away from the origin, an amount a. So if we move the origin to this location, that location would have coordinates a, 0, 0. All right, so here we are. Now let's move in the y direction. Let's move an amount b. Then we have a point here with coordinates a, b, 0. Our movement, however, has occurred only in the floor of the room, or this is in the xy plane. And because we're in the xy plane, we know that the 2 blue line segments that we've drawn are perpendicular. And as such, we can find a right triangle. And by being a right triangle, that hypotenuse, we can easily compute its length. Let's term it r. This is just the Pythagorean theorem. Easily compute out that r is the radical of a squared plus b squared. Very easy, very nice. Next, let's consider this point, a, comma b, comma 0. And it's in the floor, it's in the xy plane. Let's lift it off and really lift it off of the floor. Let's lift it up by an amount c. So it sits an amount c above the xy plane. Okay. Well, once again, we have a right triangle, since we lifted directly off of the floor, that this point P was lifted directly off the floor. Therefore, this line segment forms a right angle with the floor. And then picking this line segment in the floor will provide yet another right triangle. We'll label its hypotenuse D so that we can again appeal to the Pythagorean theorem. Side squared r squared plus another side square c squared under a radical gives us d, the hypotenuse. Yet we have an expression for r that we can plug in. Then when we look at r squared, we're simply going to remove the radical, and thus d can be expressed out as the radical of this sum. All right. Now, what is that d representing? If we look, it's from the point P. It's the distance from P to the origin. It's d to the origin. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to swap out a. A was the amount that we moved in the x direction. Let's call that the change in x, delta x. B is the amount that we moved in the y direction. Call that delta y. C is the amount that we moved in the z direction. Call that delta z. So that we can reterm our point P as delta x, delta y, delta z, and that is moving from the origin to the point P. That we've changed x by this much, y by that much, and z by this much. And the distance formula has similarly been updated. Okay, why would we want to do that? Well, it actually helps us out that this d is giving the distance between these 2 points, yet we've chosen one of the points to be the origin, which has particular coordinates. So let's go back and try again. Pick in 3 space any arbitrary point and fix it. Do not let it move. This is going to be the center. Pick in 3 space any other point other than C, and let this one be free to do as it wishes. To indicate that it's free to be anything that it likes to be, let's use variable coordinates x, y, z. Plug in the distance formula that we have. D is the distance between these 2 points. We know how to compute that. We look at the difference in x's quantity squared, the difference in y's quantity squared, the difference in z's quantity squared. So, for example, delta x is going to be x minus a. That's the change in x to go from the black dot to the orange dot. Plugging in for each of the delta quantities, we get this expression here. What we have arrived at, since x is free and P is free and C is fixed, is we can think about all points satisfying this equation, all points in 3 space which lie an amount d away from C, from the center. In other words, we produce a sphere. We have a picture of a sphere. It's a nice ball. And then we also have a wonderful equation for the sphere. If we open up the book, we can find that this is captured here in the equation of a sphere. Difference in x's quantity squared, difference in y's quantity squared, plus the difference in z's quantity squared, where a comma b is the center and r is the radius. And a nice little picture. Excellent. Thank you for watching Clean Glean.